I wanted to talk about this particular player a little later, but I think this is a natural point to bring him up. Something that is starting to make me think, like, be a little more optimistic that this group might be different and they might be able to find guys. Granted, it's a first round pick, but not a top 5, top 10 guy. Dog, at what point do I just have to believe in Oliver Bonk as, oh no, he might be a top pair defenseman? Like, I didn't think it, and I have to laugh. I have to laugh when I go back to a year and they take Oliver Bonk, and it's like, well, he doesn't really have a ton of offensive upside. Maybe it doesn't translate. It's possible. Like, like we've talked bumper Bonk. Like, are they going to use him in the bumper in the NHL? If not, that's a ton of his, Yeah. But it is John Tortorella, and he does believe in a little bit. Like, hey, defensemen, you're not defensemen. You're hockey players, much like I do. In the regular season in the OHL, 24 goals, 67 points in 60 games. In the OHL playoffs, they win the championship, the London Knights, 7 goals, 16 points. Now in the Memorial Cup, they're 2-0-0. He has 1 goal, 3 points. I realize it's the OHL. Now it's the CHL in total in the Memorial Cup. It's not the NA, but he's dominating. You can't say he's not.
He's been one of the best players on the team that very well may win the Memorial Cup.
Now, listen, it's an excellent team. Like, we know about Denver Barkey, who's the Maple Leafs prospect, Ethan Cohen or something.
Yeah.
He like
Sam Dickinson is on that team as well. He's going to be a top 10 pick. Yeah.
Like, they have a ton of dudes, but he's standing out. It's not as if he's just a passenger here.
Yeah. No, he's one of the best players.
Point, don't we just have to believe? Like, I have been resistant because I'm like, I don't know, man. He's like scoring all these power play. Is that really going to work? But it's not like he's showing any signs of slowing down now, like, 90 games into this season.
I mean, their performance in juniors is how we evaluate all of these children. It's how all of the experts evaluate these children. It's how they get ranked in their draft list. Like, I don't think it's absurd to look at what he's done this season and think like, oh, maybe he's a bit better than everyone thought he was. Maybe he needed another year to like find his game or whatever.
And it's not like he wasn't good before.
No.
It's just that he's reached another level.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't know if any of these kids are going to translate to the NHL, except for the ones that are like, Connor McDavid. Like, he's going to translate.
Or celebrating or whatever, yeah.
But I don't think it's silly to look at what Oliver Bonk has done and been like, oh shit, maybe we did find something in the late round that we need that never happens to the Flyers. Like, I feel like we have to start thinking that the never happened to the Flyers stuff, it's like we have to let it go because it's not the same people.
I think at the very least, and I'm not ready to say what Oliver Bonk is going to be, because as you said, we don't know.
No, you're guessing.
He hasn't gotten to the NHL yet. We don't know how his game's going to translate. We don't know if this offensive surge is largely driven by the fact that he racks up a ton of points on the power play
or
now
sustainable
in a role that he probably won't play at the NHL level in the bumper spot. So I'm not ready to say that Bonk is going to be a star. He's going to be a top pair defenseman at the NHL level. But I think what we can say is that he's looking like a good pick where they picked him. That because there are guys in every draft that by the end of their draft plus one season, they either stagnate or they regress. Guys that were taken in the first round, and the fans of the team that picked him are like, oh shit, we might have messed up this pick. We were expecting this guy to take a leap. Instead, he just was what he was. I mean, we saw it as Flyers people watching Jay O'Brien. Jay O'Brien was the big swing, later first-round pick. He was a high schooler, and you were thinking to yourself, well, he's going to college. He's going to Providence. Maybe if he explodes, suddenly it's like, man, he should have been a top 10 pick. He was untested against top competition. What happens? He goes to Providence and flames out, doesn't score at all, and looks like crap, and ends up having to go to the BCHL for a while before he can go back to college and kind of restart his career. Now, what is Jay O'Brien now? He is a comp second-round pick that they are going to be using in a month. That's all he became. And it was abundantly clear by that first season that, like, okay, look, guys can turn it around. Maybe it's just a bad year. But by the end of that first year, you were like, oh, I think they screwed up that pick. By the end of this first year, you're thinking if they redraft last year's first round, Bonk doesn't make it to the Flyers second first round pick.
Probably
now,
not.
Now
Yeah.
maybe he's not a top 10 pick, but I don't think he makes it to that spot because I think he's had a good enough year and he's shown enough this season that he didn't show in his draft year that will have other teams thinking to themselves like, yeah, at 16, money taking him.
We all silly like the mayor.